Hello, GBA fans. My name is Gym Leader Geo, your GBA analyst for the preseason coach interviews. I have with me today Lars, coach of the Borussia Donphan. Welcome, Lars.
Yeah, thanks for having me here, speaking on behalf of the Borussia Donphan here as the head coach. And yeah, excited to be here, especially being interviewed by such an handsome and experienced draft player as you are. Quite a blast from the past. It was a while since we speak the last time, so yeah, glad to be here with you.
It's been way too long, my friend. Actually, I'm really excited to be here with you and chatting with you. The fact that I get to be the one to interview you, huge blessing of mine. For those of you who are new to the GBA, new to Draft League fans, Lars and I go way back. I think we started GBA together. What was it, season 4 or something?
Yeah, before I started. Yeah.
Oh my god, same with me. So
I don't even want to calculate how many years ago that was, because I'm not here to feel old. I'm here to be excited for the GBA.
That's right. Okay. That's a good point, actually. Maybe we shouldn't talk about that stuff. Okay, so I understand this season we got some assistant coach situations going on in the GBA. Could you introduce to me and to the fans watching today, who's going to be your assistant coach this season?
Oh yeah, my assistant coach is going to be the esteemed YouTuber and Draft League. I'm not connoisseur that much. He was the coach of the FC Volcarona a long time ago. It's Frank, aka FranCTrode. And yeah, he's a very good friend of mine. We go way back. When I started YouTube, I already talked with him over Twitter, made videos with him, stuff like that. And yeah, very happy to be with him here and bring some of the Frank factor into the Borussia Donphan.
The Frank factor. I love that. We're not worthy for such a beautiful team and assistant coach. So, okay. GBA. As far as I'm aware, and I've been out of the scene for a while, buddy, you know that is the first league I know of to implement official assistant coaches into the mix. I know it's something that's always been kind of on the side. People pre-practice and go over sets together. But I feel like it's going to be a whole new dynamic to the way the league prepares, communicates, and battles. So tell me, how are you feeling about having assistant coaches kind of there on the roster, picking up some of that extra slack and working with them? What's that like?
Okay, so thirdly, since planning the whole draft and stuff like that, has been a lot of fun, which mainly because me and Frank, like I said, we are good friends. So every time we talk to each other, it's going to be a great time. But yeah, if people maybe know who follow me for a longer time with the whole front office thing, that once they started being a thing, I was always opposed to that. I never enjoyed having a front office myself. I planned myself, I drafted myself, I built myself, stuff like that. And I always thought that once you have let's say you have two even coaches facing off against each other, I don't like the idea of that the one with the better front office won. Yeah. Stuff like that. So I was always opposed to that. It has always been a thing, so I stopped fighting against it, because you will never get rid of that. People, there's always the good stuff in that. You get to socialize, you get to start talk about Draft League and all these shenanigans. Yeah. So I get the appeal, but for me, for the competition, I always was against it. But now that it's officially implemented and everyone has their one assistant coach they can plan with, they can talk with, that's totally whole different game. That's now it's more even, because we obviously could decide who our assistant coach is. So yeah, big fan of that.
I actually agree with you on that point as well. In the earlier seasons, I didn't have any front office or really a whole lot of help either. And I remember, the enjoyment of going into things, and then no hard feelings because everyone works their own way, but it did feel a little bit wrong to me when your prep was against 5 people's prep and all that. But as you said, as it becomes more formalized, more entrenched into the culture, and the amount of time it takes to really put together those ideal teams to have some great ideas, now that it's more formalized, I see it as the reality of battling. And so I think I share your viewpoint on that one. I think I remember us saying something similar in the GBA chat back in the day. Okay, let's learn a little bit about you, buddy. Let's play the Lars story here. GBA been on hiatus for a few years now. We got a lot of new coaches rounding out the rosters for this season. So my first question would be, what brought you back to the GBA for its triumphant return? Why'd you choose GBA?
So obviously, GBA, when I first joined, that was like my big quote-unquote breakthrough into the scene, I want to say. Like I did play in like smaller draft leagues before that, which the few of them which were there, and yeah, had a great time in the GBA, enjoyed it quite a lot, meeting a whole new of different people, like having the analyst team analyze the matches, stuff like that. It was always a great league to be a part in. Then sadly, the hiatus happened. I never stopped playing Draft League. I just joined smaller, different leagues. Even I had some excursions in the German community because, I mean, as people who don't know, maybe not from a team name already, that I'm German. So I joined some German Draft Leagues. They have a great community there over there as well. And yeah, basically never stopped playing the format, so I was always still part of that, still looking always for a new league to join, new challenges to face. And yeah, once then the rumor started up that the GBA was getting a revival, I of course couldn't wait to join that as well. And yeah, here I am once again doing my draft league thing with these guys here.
Yeah, love that. And what are you most excited for about this season, about the way they're doing the seasons or anything like that? What is it that makes this season exciting for you?
So obviously just having the GBA back again is always exciting after such a long time, but there are some awesome changes as well we're doing. Like we talked about, the assistant coach thing is already a great addition to the draft league format, which I think some people already tried, like doing like teams and stuff like that. But yeah, it's always, I think it never really got into the big leagues, I want to say, like into the real thing. But yeah, and the auction draft going on, that's an exciting thing to try out. And yeah, it's always going to be, like I said, this long into the format, like been doing draft league for like so many years now, and still having this like inventive drive to like change things up here and there, barring of course the new mons which we get every few years with the new generation. It's yeah, I'm excited for everything which like switches up the format a little bit.
I'm with you there. I have a great follow-up for that actually, because you know, for those of us who have been following or participating in competitive battling and the scene surrounding that for years, we've seen the rise and fall of numerous added mechanics, right? Mega evolutions got introduced, Giga maxing, terrestrialization, all of these things. Obviously, each presents a challenge to forming a healthy meta, whatever that looks like. And then on top of those Pokemon mechanical changes, we get these draft leagues implementing their own rules, their own tiering systems, you know, that are sometimes follow Smogon and sometimes don't. You know, the way that we draft, the point systems versus the auction system, which I'm going to be really excited to see how that pans out. We try all these different things to try and form a healthy meta. My question to you, what are your thoughts about the current meta of everything, both on Pokemon Showdown, the way they're doing it there, as well as how it's going to look when it comes to drafting with the rule set of the GBA this season? What are your thoughts about everything?
In general, I think the rule set for the GBA is pretty well developed. There are some, like the only thing like I would say like maybe could have been different is like some tiering stuff. But usually I learned to just stay silent during tiering, just let the people do their thing. And if there's something I think it's like very cheap and should be in higher, just don't talk about it, stay silent, and then wait for the draft and pick exactly that up.
Smart.
So that's usually how I do things in that regard. And yeah, in general, with like even the small one, like obviously with terrestrialization involved, it's like it's I think so far the most free new mechanic we got. Like Mega Evolution obviously could have only been done by a few months. With the Z crystal moves, you already obviously have a few moves already, which like you can only have one mon which can use that. You have to decide that during team building who holds the crystal, stuff like that. But with terrestrialization, every one of your mons can terrestrialize in every type. Obviously, there's already some established types you want to terrestrialize into, right. Be it something which gives you extra coverage, or in resist, which was before a weakness, stuff like that. But it opens up a whole lot more possibilities than all the other mechanics before. That's why, in another regard, it needs to be the most rein in probably for like draft league stuff like that. That's why I think we have don't think we have yet figured out what the best rule set around terrestrialization in Draft League is. I've seen a few tries, like with the you can choose a few different types. Maybe you can choose more types. You can choose every type, but only for low tier mons, stuff like that. There's a lot of options already to go around that. I'm not sure what the perfect one yet is. For that, the generation is a little bit too new yet. But yeah, me personally, I would just love like everything's free, but obviously that would lead to a very insane meta, which not everyone is a fan of. But I like the broken stuff. I like my Landorus Eye being allowed. Sadly, it's not. But yeah, that's my 2 cents around that.
Yeah. Great exploration of that. I agree. There's something new, and I think it's a good thing for the Draft League community to be exploring these, see which ones they like best. As you said. Limit the number of mons, limit the number of types they can be. How do we play with that? How do we work with that? We're really excited to see how that kind of pans out for this triumphant return of the GBA system. So another question for you out there, specifically regarding the way that the rule sets are being done for the GBA, terrestrializing draft costs. I know you don't like to, draw attention to the specific tiering and the costs of things like that. But just as a more general approach, a more general question, do you like the way the GBA is doing this relative to some of the other draft leagues you've been participating in recently? Do you think that the rule set that we've come up with together is something that will create a healthy meta?
I think for sure it's going to be a healthy meta. I think the GBA is, like, compared to other leagues, a bit more restrictive, I think, regarding Terra than the other leagues I've been part in so far in this generation. So I think just due to that, we will have a more controlled, balanced meta by just having more reins on the meta, basically. But of course, it limits some creativity and fun you can have with it. But that's always the balance you have to take. Like, how much freedom do you allow versus how much control you want to have and how balanced you want to have things. Broken is always fun, but obviously it's broken. You can't have a fair competition in that. So the balancing act is always difficult. The GBA, I think, currently goes more into the way of more balanced, more restrictive than other leagues, what I already explained. But I think you can definitely still do some fun stuff with that. What I don't think is that great is that you can only have like one S tier captain and then nothing else. And so I don't think that's a smart option, like a lot of times, because of the point system, how it works. The best thing you can do, you have like one A tier captain and then like a lower tier captain. And that's usually the combination I think everyone should go for, because I think the detriment of having only one Terra captain with only 2 types, that's very limiting if you want to have that. So I think that option is probably not going to be very appealing to a lot of the coaches, just because of how restrictive you put yourself into position. There we go.
Makes sense. Yeah, that's a great point about the exploring the dynamics of restrictive versus open formatting. I think the restrictive maybe gives those lower tier, lesser used Pokemon an opportunity to shine in a way that they might not be able to in a draft league filled with greater budget for more higher tier mons. But in that same regard, does that limit some of the explosive fun that you can get from really high powered, broken, what have you, kind of mons? So great point there, really great point. Is there anything about the draft league format that you know about, without giving anything away, that you're going to use to your advantage during the draft?
During the draft, I mean, I think what many people underestimate or not do, or one mistake everyone, a lot of people do, not everyone obviously, is plan too much. Like they look at the tiers, they draft the whole 11 mon roster, and then one of them, like what they plan to take round 7 gets picked on round 3 from another coach, and then suddenly it's a snipe and the whole plan's crumbling down. Yeah. So I think you have to plan smaller. Like, just plan your first 2 picks, maybe your first 3 picks, whatever. Like a small core there. Look at mons you would like to have, but you can pick them later on once it's there, and then adapt to whatever's happening in the draft. You see a lot of fairies are going, okay, pick your fairy earlier. And look at what the other people are doing. Like, let's say, like, I'm second to last pick, so I have 2 picks behind me before I get I get my turn again. What do they have already on their team? I'm missing a ground type. Are they missing a ground type as well? If yes, okay, maybe I should take that before the wheel gets to them. If I'm missing, like I said, I'm missing a fairy type. They both have a fairy already. Okay, I can probably wait till the wheel is back at my turn to get that, because they most likely will not get that. So stuff like that, I think, is what many people don't look at as much as they should. That's at least my feeling, looking at how people draft and how often people complain about snipes.
Yeah. Great points. All right. Last question I have for you today. Was there any coach in particular this season that you've got your eye on as perhaps a rival, maybe someone you've battled and struggled with in the past? What are your thoughts on that?
So looking at the roster here, there's like, since I never really left the draft league community, there's like, I played with a lot of these guys before, but one I want to look out the most for is, of course, George, SceptileMC, because he's one of the, like I said, one of the other coaches from back in the day GBA who joined this season. And yeah, back in the day, I did win here and there with them, but I think he got the most wins versus me in all the matches we had so far. So I'm definitely looking to get my payback there, especially since, yeah, I didn't slack off. I was still part of the community. I still played my matches. I had my reps. And yeah, now I'm here to destroy him. So that's my mission.
I love that. Yeah, George is a great competitor. He's had great accolades to his name as far as wins and all that. So I think that'll be a good matchup to watch, you and George going at it once again. Okay. I think with that, my friend, we're reaching the end of the interview. Thank you, Lars, so much for your time today. Do you want to give a quick shout out to your channel for all the fans who might be interested in looking to follow a new team?
Of course, people, like, always check out the Borussia Donphan, the Scizor channel, probably linked in the description on this video right here. Of course, check out my assistant coach as well, FranCTrode. Here's some fun content there as well. So yeah, shout out to all of that, and yeah, definitely subscribe to this channel, because this is the GBA channel. You will see analyst content here a lot, and I think that's what made the GBA stand out as much to other leagues, is the great analyst content we had from guys like you, Gio, so thank you as well for being a part of the analyst team. But yeah, these are basically my shoutouts here. Subscribe to me, to Frank, and the GBA channel.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you again so much for your time today, for joining us for the interview. Ladies and gentlemen, fans of the GBA, definitely keep tuning in. We're going to continue with more of these coach interviews every single day, leading up to some exciting content as we get closer to the beginning of the league. But from me, Gym Leader Gio, from the GBA itself, and from my good buddy Lars, that's me signing off. Have a great day, everybody.